Now let's get a quick overview of the financial module in VIENNA Advantage. So I'm logging in as an admin into the system. Now first of all, it is important to understand that in an ERP system, and especially VIENNA Advantage, most of the financial transactions and postings are generated automatically by different modules. So since it is an integrated system, you do not need to generate or create manual accounts postings, but the system generates these accounts posting automatically based on certain things which are set at the master data level or based on the logic of the accounting. VIENNA Advantage can handle multiple accounting schemas at the same time, so which means if you are within a company and you have a company which is globally represented and you would like to run all these companies within one single system, which would mean also running those in multiple currencies at the same time and maybe having a consolidation across all these organizations. So VIENNA Advantage is able to handle all these situations within a single organization or a single tenant, so that you can also consolidate the data. Additionally, VIENNA Advantage also has the capability to handle multiple currencies, so we are able to handle multiple currencies and at the same time different rate types. So for example, buying rates, selling rates. So in case you have a consolidation rate at the company level which is different than the normal buying and selling rates, or you have a bank rate, custom rates, etc. So we can do that. Additionally, we can also set different currency sources where basically the currency conversion can be loaded from on daily basis, so that this will help you in your daily transactions as well. Additionally, we are able to set document types and sequences. So for example, your invoice numbers, your GL numbers, etc., credit memo numbers and all that can be set based on the document sequence that you can decide upon. So there are various settings related to that you can do. And yeah, this can be linked with the numbering, which is called document sequence. So we can zoom from here to there, or we can open the document sequence, which can be linked to different types of documents inside the system. Then additionally, of course, we have calendar, year and period, which helps you to open and close your periods and define your calendar. For example, handling non-regular calendars starting maybe from April till March, or of course January till December, etc. So we can handle these calendars inside the systems, and these calendars can be linked with different accounting schemas. For example, if you have two different companies, both companies are linked with their own accounting logics and have a different opening and closing period, that's something that we can handle as well inside the system. And then you can also close periods. For example, we have a period control for different document types, and we can decide which documents are opened and closed and what dates, which means, for example, if you would like to close your period on the 10th of the coming month for the previous month, so that nobody can change anything later on, you can open or close periods. And even later on, if you would like to open a period, you can of course do that. And you can also automate this process so that you don't need to manage it manually. Yeah, additionally, basically we can define our accounting structure, so which includes the chart of accounts, for example. And here we are able to define one or multiple charts of accounts. So in this case, for example, we have the Ideas Inc. account, where we have assets, liabilities, so all the structure. So that's typically something which is done during an implementation, that your specific chart of account is loaded. And here, of course, if you're running multiple companies in multiple countries and currencies, etc., you can have different charts of accounts. And additionally, also you can have multiple reporting types. For example, if you have IFRS reporting, you have US GAAP reporting at the same time. You can define these reporting groups, which are used later on in the reporting structure, basically to define these financial reports. So these predefined reports use these accounting groups rather than using the ledgers, since the ledgers can always vary and from company to company. So we can simply drag and drop and link accounting groups with ledgers by doing that, and then these will be used basically. So that's of course another interesting thing. And of course you can manage your ledgers and new ledgers, etc. Another interesting thing, of course, is the tax management in VIENNA Advantage, whereas in the financial management we have the VAT structure. And here we can define different tax categories. For example, for different types of goods, you might have different tax categories. For example, you have, let's say in this case, electronic items where you have full VAT, but even and this basically is assigned then to the product, so the tax category is assigned to a product or a product category as well. And in case that product is sold not within the same country but sold outside the country or outside the state, still different tax rates might apply. So a child of the tax category is the tax rate, whereas different tax rates might apply based on the ship to address, based on the invoice to address, if it is going to be sold within a certain region. So the tax rates will be automatically picked inside the transaction based on that. So here we have different taxes which are linked within the same tax category to different conditions and tax rates, so that during the transactions automatically the tax can be defined and selected by the system itself without having the user to do anything about that. And of course we have also tax declaration, which gives you an output based on your input and output tax in order to calculate the final tax basically for you. Another interesting thing, of course, is the accounting localization or accounts localization and or accounting schema, let's say first. And the accounting schema is basically one set of rules or one set of books basically for your accounts. So for example, if you have two companies, one is reporting based on GBP and the other is reporting based on US dollars, so you need to have two different accounting schemas, so which means two set of books. And these can be assigned to organizations, so which organization reports to which. So in this case it's the star organization, which means the US dollar accounting schema is linked with all the organizations. Whereas if I select another one, now the German one, that is just linked to the German office. So we can define these, and within the accounting schema there are various standards that we can set. For example, what is the costing methods that we are going to use, what is the costing level, what is the default currency. And interesting also to say what is the accounts localization, which means what is the posting logic. Now these accounts localizations basically are fetched or predefined, but can also be modified if the company's rules are different for posting into the ledgers. For example, for each document type, like if it is a order or if it is a purchase order, or let's say cash journal or an accounts receivable invoice, what is the posting logic, which means what are accounts which are debited, what are the accounts which are credited. So all that can be even defined and customized and extended from within the system itself. So we can link these items over here, and we can also define what are the standard ledgers, so the default account ledgers which are being used for posting. So in this case, for example, we have the accounting defaults which are used for generation of the accounts postings in the end. Now you will find these of course also on each product. For example, if I open a product, and this product itself is linked to certain ledgers, so whenever there is a transaction on the product, then in that case those accounts will be used. So in this case, for example, bridges and routers which I have, and I can have the accounts defaults in this case here, which are linked to that. So if I need to post the product expenses based on this product, then this ledger will be used and so on. So for automatic generation of postings, it's quite helpful. Yeah, additionally, let's look at some other things which are related to transactions. So for that we have of course accounts receivable transactions, accounts payable transactions. So whereas we have invoices, invoice schedules are generated based on invoices. So if you write an invoice or if you generate an invoice, depending on the type of document, each invoice and the lines will have an impact that the tax is automatically generated and calculated, and also the payment schedule based on the payment term. So for example, if the payment term is 100% immediate, then the full amount is due immediately. But if the payment term is, let's say, something different, so let's have a look at something else. Now in this case the payment term is also 100% immediate. Let's have a look at another one. Now in this case, for example, 50% immediate and 50% in 30 days, which means we would have two different payment schedules. So if I toggle it, I see that half and half it is split. So the system can take care of these things, and we can of course project our cash flow based on that as well, and see also whether payment has been received against that. So I see immediately here that the payment number so and so has been received against the first schedule, and if I require to zoom and to see details of that payment, if it is a check, for example, what's the check number and so on. Sorry, not this zoom, but zooming on this payment ID, so I can zoom to that particular payment to see when the payment happened, what is the check number, and other details about that. Yeah, so that's basically the possibility to generate invoices. In case your customers don't pay on time, we are also able to set dunning rules, whereas certain rules can be set where automatically payment reminders can be set from within the system, and you can also print dunning letters. Also, generation of the invoices based on rules. For example, if a delivery happens and automatically system needs to generate invoices, this is also possible that based on the rules we can generate these invoices automatically. Then in the payables, basically the same thing. So we also have the same structure where accounts payables based on purchase orders, based on deliveries, invoices can be submitted or even generated inside the system. They also have payment schedules as an impact, and whereas I can project my cash flow over here as well. Then on the transactional side, we also have cash books and cash journals. So we can run our cash journal on daily basis based on different cash books. So within a single organization, I might have different cash books, and I can run my journal based on daily basis. So if there's an incoming or outgoing entry, I can do that on daily basis and run my journal. So in this case, in this window, I have a few completed one. By default, the system loads the one which is going on. So the drafted one, the completed are those which have been released, completed, frozen, and finished and posted. So here, in this case, my entries I can see over here. Then of course bank management. So we also have very strong bank management. We also have certain modules which can load data from bank accounts directly, or we can do it also by loading statements from an Excel or CSV file. So if I, let's say, select the bank account over here, we see our bank itself, and now in this case I can, for example, see what are the upcoming transactions related to this bank account which I have over here. And in case I would like to match this my statement with those, so I can simply go there and select a file, and then the bank statement matching can happen automatically. Or what I could also do is I could simply enter and reconcile manually, whereas I have a form here. So I could simply drag and drop and push something here, or I could of course record something manually with the statement number and what is the amount. And we are also able to, for example, select expenses which might have occurred, whether it's a simple voucher or it was related to a payment or an invoice or a contra voucher. So I can do these transactions directly, very easily, very handy actually, this form. Then additionally in the accounting side, related to accounts payable and receivables, also we have our payment management form. This is also very interesting because this shows you what are my current receivables, which I see over here, or what are the current payables. Now this shows you all the schedules, whether it's receivable schedules of invoices or payable schedules of these invoices based on due date. And if I would like to recover something, or something is getting paid, or I would like to pay something, then I can simply select that. Now in this case it's a check. Then I can make an entry of the check, or if it is a payable, if I would like to generate a check based on something, or make a card payment or a manual payment, batch payment, so I can do that. And also interesting, of course, on the right side I have my current funds available, so my current cash flow. Then I see here also what is the upcoming ins and outs. So from this one single screen I can view that. I can also generate these payments directly and see what is right now available. And of course this helps me to project my cash flow as well, and manage what are the things, items which I can pay right now, or if I do a receipt on something, I can also receive something quickly. And if in case someone calls up and says I would like to pay something later or change the date, so I can simply put a note for everyone to see. So quite handy things, quite easy things for the accountants to manage. Then of course to the typical GL postings also, that if you need to make some real manual GL posting, you can of course do that. And then we have a very nice financial reporting form. Let me show you that as well. So that's a pretty powerful tool which we have over here, whereas you have on the one side predefined financial report statements that we deliver in the standard, but also you can define your own financial reporting structure by using the account groups that we saw earlier, whereas ledgers are matched with the accounting groups, and these accounting groups can be used then to define your line set on the reports as well as the column set on the reports. Like I want to see the current month's budget versus current month's actuals and so on. So I can define what are the columns I would like to see, what are the rows I would like to see, and based on which I can then of course generate my reports. So that's a wonderful tool basically to define these reports as well. And I'll show you also a few reports which we have like in the BI, which of course you can also use. Yeah, additionally we have some modules like post-dated checks which you can also use in some areas or some regions. It is common, and then letter of credit, we can handle that, and we can also generate provisions on obsolete inventory. We have also distribution and allocation of funds or postings for your joint venture accounting, for example. So various possibilities, and it's really truly a global financial management that we have over here. Yeah, so that's a quick overview of that. Let me just come to the accounting side now. Let me just come to the reporting side just now. Yeah, we have a BI, embedded BI system inside VIENNA Advantage. It's not just some dashboards or something, it's a real BI system basically that we have. We have embedded a third-party application basically inside VIENNA Advantage Professional Edition. Now here you can define some dashboards if you like. Now this is a customer's dashboard, which is quite interesting from the accounting perspective as well. We can see and select basically a customer, and in this case the customer is selected here. We can see some basic details about the customer, the name of the customer, the address, phone number, etc. We can see what are the payment terms which have been fixed with the customer. We see what are the invoices we have created so far with the customer, how much he has spent, what is the cost to us for the items he has bought, and what is the profitability. Coming real time from the data inside the system, of course. A few highlights about that. One was the last order, what is the outstanding amount, what is the credit limit, what is the average days outstanding. It's also interesting to know how many days he has not paid or he's not generally paying, and some other information about him as well. I see then also customer contacts, customers' locations in detail, and I can calculate an overall customer score based on comparisons of this customer with my other customers. So how is his rank based on my general customers that I have. And apart from some appointment and other stuff, the relevant details related to the accounting are, for example, the customer invoices. So which are the invoices which have been generated, what are the payment schedules, and whether these are paid or not. So as we can see, a lot of amount has not been paid yet. And if there are any post-dated checks which the customer has issued. Interesting, of course, also to see if I would like to go into detail of one document, I can simply go and see the lines of that. So it opens a pop-up for me to go into detail and have a look at that. Also, we have some reports to analyze your customers' outstandings. So for that, one of the best reports I would say, which I personally like a lot, is customer average days outstanding. Now this report basically shows you basically everything that you need to know about certain customers. You can, it opens a certain number of customers automatically, but then you can filter and see only one customer if you like to see. Okay, close the filter. And here I can see, for example, different customers and their current status, which means credit is okay, credit is on watch, is on hold. I can see what is the open amount, and I can see since how many days, what is the average due days. I see also if there are some amounts which are going to be due in future. Now in this case there are some planned invoices and planned schedules or which are going to be due in the future. I also see if there are some receipts on our bank account but have not been allocated to invoices yet. So I can also see, of course, you see 13,250 is the open balance, but the invoice amount, open invoice amount is 17,000, which means they have done some payment which has not been allocated to invoices yet. So I can look at those transactions. I can see, for example, in this case, we have also received something in cash, but we have not allocated it to the invoices. And there has been given a PDC, a post-dated check to us, which we can encash, of course, as well. And if we would like to see something in detail about this invoice, I can simply click on that and see, okay, I have 3 invoices, 1 or 2 invoices, and 1 is a credit memo. And even going further in detail about each invoice or on each invoice, in this case there were multiple payments, so this is in multiple installments for the same invoice in this case, but on different periods. And on the first one there has been a payment, the rest is still all open, and these are the yellow ones are going to be in future. So you see on 13th of March something is going to be due. So really a good view to see the customer, to analyze these things quite well in detail. And I can go back one level beyond or one level above to see details. And if I need to basically filter by something, sort by something, make conditional formatting, or even further go into editing this report, having new columns and so on, I can do that all inside the BI pretty well. So for example, I can drag and drop new columns, change the order of the columns, and even further going into editing the data. That's something as well which is possible. So you see here, we go up to the table level. Of course, we don't recommend that everybody has the access to, go into the data level. So you can set up these roles, who is allowed to make modifications to the reports. Yeah, so you see basically, we have various reports available as standard reports, whether it's financial reports or non-financial reports related to income statement, GL activity, customer profitability, outstanding, trial balance, bank details, cash book, etc., etc. So yeah, really a big portfolio of reports, of course, which is available inside VIENNA Advantage BI, and the tool, of course, which is quite powerful. Yeah, so that's a quick overview on the accounting module.